also hearing simultaneously people saying that many women believe, and this has happened to almost every female professional I know in their interface with somebody who's powerful, that they will fend off the overture in a diplomatic way because they do not want to antagonize that person because they have to continue to deal with
Which
it.
is precisely what I'm saying.
The sense of being silent, or the sense of saying, okay, if I complain about him, I still have to meet this man every day at work. So it's just going to get terrible.
No, but why can't they just say no, and then the system should then protect that no?
But who's going to know? But my question is, who's going to believe you? The issue is not saying no. I can say no. But is someone going to believe me? You exactly said the same thing. Who believed that David would do such a thing? I know you ask 10 people, they say, how could he do it? Because he has daughters who are older than this person. He has a wonderful wife. He's an old man. He couldn't ever sexually harass anybody. So you stand saying, well, I'm not going to say it because I have to work with this man. But even if I say it, I'm going to be the fool because nobody is going to believe me. So you just keep quiet about it and you quit your job. If I had a choice of saying no, I would say no. The circumstances don't offer you the choice. So it's so easy to sit and say, well, why don't women say no?
No, it's not why they don't say no. It is to empower them to say no.
But
what
how
I'm
do
saying
you
is,
empower
no,
them?
that's
It's
what I'm
not
saying.
so
That's what we're debating right now. Whether it's partly legal, partly social, partly to educate men to accept that no. Now, if we have to go all the way down to basics and to gender, then if you do not empower women with the right to say no.
It is not only empowering women with the right to say no or telling women to speak up. Why can't men just stop doing it?
No, but
you
doing
don't need
what?
to empower women to say no.
Martha, to that young boy's question, and I think it has to be answered. Is there a workable definition of sexual harassment?
Yes, there's a very workable definition
What is that
of sexual
definition?
harassment.
Yeah.
It is verbal, it is physical, it is by gestures, it's all defined in the Vishaka guidelines. You can't go wrong if you read that definition. Anybody who's read that definition and says, I don't know what sexual harassment is all about, I'm sorry, then either you're just not understanding the written word or you don't want to accept what's written.
Yes, so Surbhi, go ahead, and then I have to go to Mohandas Pai if I can get him up. Yeah, Surbhi, go ahead.
What I have to say here is that with the way that the work culture has been changing, a lot of those definitions have actually diluted, because today on the work scenario, a simple touch, an embrace, a shake of hands, a sharing of jokes has really become acceptable. So to actually go by such stereotype guidelines, or rather such stringent guidelines only from a legal perspective, would be difficult.
But I think the word is unwelcome.
Let me just finish, Martha, just a minute. Where my point comes from, and where again all these issues come up, is that a legal standpoint is needed because that is the backbone to support the entire thing. But the actual jurisdiction of this lies with the organization. It's the culture you're setting, it's the acceptable norms, it's the protocol, it's the kind of behavior, and that's something that is done over a period of time.
But I think you actually raised the paradox of the contradiction between where around a woman, once maybe you wouldn't use a four-letter word, now you would, a woman may do it herself, that certain jokes that weren't considered kosher at one point are now considered perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay to hug somebody when you meet them. Mohandas Pai, how does a manager deal with these grey areas? Because there are, as the point being made here is that there are grey areas of culture. There are cultural changes happening in India, and the law has to keep pace with those cultural changes. Women are confident of going out for a round of beers with the guys at work. Women are comfortable exchanging, what were once considered male-only jokes. What locker room conversation is today, the traditional definition may no longer apply.
Barka, first of all, I think we must not miss the point that every organization should create a culture and an open, transparent system whereby men and women can work together and feel that they will not be discriminated against. So the base is the culture that you have to create, the process, the appraisal process, the promotion process, the system for reviews, the system for grievances, the system for many other things. You have to create this base so that women do not feel they necessarily have to sleep with the boss to go up in their careers. So once you create all this base and you put a process in place, both genders are very confident they'll be treated properly. I think that's important. We should never miss that. And I think the debate is going away from that point. Once you set that base, then you have an anti-sexual harassment policy which says that if ever a boss or somebody else, a colleague who's in a position of power, or somebody else tries to harass you, you can complain. And once the power is there for people to complain, and you set in place an open, transparent process, get a committee together to hear on facts, the committee headed by a woman, rightly so, and there's an appeal against that committee to a higher body, and then the whole thing becomes transparent, I think there's a leveling of power, so you don't have to be scared. And you can say, no, you can do what you want. And two, it is true that men and women can have affairs, they can do whatever it is in the private life. I mean, organizations do not interfere in it, so long as it doesn't affect the workplace. Now, in a sexual harassment thing is when somebody has to complain. When somebody has to complain, it means there is no consensus that the person who is complaining feels harassed. And once that complaint comes, it is a factual matter for the committee to look into and see whether the complaint is genuine, that in fact something has happened, and if there has happened, what are the implications, is it serious, what severity it is, and come to a conclusion,
but
and give a right of appeal to both sides.
Yeah, but largely most people
Yes,
would then say workplace relationships are a no-no unless they take place between equals.
No, I won't say that. I won't say that, Barka. Workplace, Barka, like we said in the beginning of this debate, human beings are emotional. I mean, they have a relationship that's perfectly okay. I don't think any of us should pontificate about that or legislate against that. The key question comes when it becomes harassment. And harassment comes when both sides do not agree. One side is more powerful at trying to push something down, or the culture of the place is so stifling that people are very scared and submit.
But Mr. Pai, I wish it were that simple, but the fact is that it's sometimes, for example, in the David case, you did not have the complainant saying harassment in the beginning, you had her saying it later,
After 3 years. And why did she have to take so long?
Exactly.
Now, why did she have to take so long? I'll just come back to you, Mohan Pai. We've been talking so much about workplace relationships. We have here two people who actually met at work, and Himanshu and Reena went on to get married. It must be pretty frightening to listen to all of this. but tell us a little bit about your story, Himanshu.
I met Reena over the workplace. We knew each other. We were good friends.
Were you her boss or vice versa?
No. We were at the same level working in different teams. So we were very good friends, and then we developed that chemistry and we started dating. But then, yes, I mean, as we've been discussing it all throughout the episode, thing is that our social framework is such, the workplace is so, I mean, the conservativeness is there that, you know, we really didn't have the guts till the end that, you know, we should just go and disclose it to our friends.
So you kept it secret?
Yeah, we had to keep it a secret because not that he was my boss or I was his boss, but the situation is such, you know, that people end up gossiping.
We both were very clear. For example, we said everything to our boss when everything was
settled between you.
Settled, and we were sure that now we are getting married and everything. Because we said to each other, okay, fine. If things do not work out, we both didn't want to be a gossip material in terms of over the lunch or something, because there is a situation when people say, okay, fine, these two people were dating each other, now they are poles apart. But
tell me something, if it was indeed the case that one of you was the other person's superior, would that have made it different?
Yes, of course. See, because when we disclosed it, though people were shocked, but it was like welcomed, because, you know, we were friends and everybody was in the same age group. But I'm sure if he would have been my boss, the take would have been completely different. That, you know, probably that's why she's getting, even if I'm getting some appreciation for the hard work I'm putting in, I'm sure things would have been the other way around. People would have said, okay, because she's dating him, that's why, you know, she's getting all the promotions and then settled.
No, that is the problem. And in fact, some Western corporations actually don't even, I mean, they encourage a relationship at work even among equals. They discourage it rather, and they say that you should, one of the people should actually leave the company. Now, we're going to take a quick break. In our last segment, is there a consensus on what should not happen at the workplace? We'll also